This is Christine Brown, and while I have to listen to this podcast as my motherly duty, you have the choice not to. My sons sometimes say some naughty things when they're trying to be funny, but really, they're just being stupid. Do you still want to listen? Go right ahead. I am not your mother.
Welcome back to the Patriots Dynasty Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Brown. We are the podcast that's going back and rewatching every Patriots game starting in 2001. We're currently 2004 Week 8 matchup against the Steelers. With me today, Steve Brown. How you doing, Steve?
Good. We have Gus here doing just as much work as Greg.
Nice work. Yeah, Greg is not here because what was his excuse this time?
He's at a concert with mom and dad.
Yeah. So I'm sure that's a great time.
Oh, yeah. Revolution, I believe.
Oh, all right. All right.
Yeah.
I can get into some reggae.
Oh,
but
fit right in.
We figured we'd replace him with a professional. If you'd met Greg, you'd understand that it's a low bar. So,
yeah.
All right, good.
He's our fact checker. But this week we have with us Mike Dussault. Deuce, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, guys, happy to be here.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to talk about you for a little bit first, because otherwise having you here wouldn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, and we'd have to talk about this Steelers game.
So we're going to avoid that for as long as possible, because it's a rough one to watch.
I don't need another Patriots loss to talk about right now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it does feel fitting though this week and this current game. For some reason, it just matched up well. So I'm in a mood this week, and this game did not help watching it. So right now you work for Patriots.com.
Yes.
So I've been asked to ask you, is Andy Hart as insufferable in person as he is on the radio?
Well, I actually replaced Andy Hart. So I've never actually worked with Andy Hart, but from the reaction I received when I arrived there, I get the impression that yes, he is in fact.
Okay. All right.
No, he's a good guy. I get along well with him. He's been nice enough to have me on his radio show a couple times, but
nice.
But no, I know Andy. He is, he's one of a kind. What can you say?
Yeah. So is this Andy.
Yeah,
this
that's
Andy,
fair. Yeah.
Way worse.
It's definitely an Andy thing. I'm pretty sure.
I can't.
I'm on the other end of the spectrum, though. I'm Mr. Positivity.
How are we supposed to replace you, Andy? You're a freaking brother.
Right. No replacing this guy.
Yeah, it sucks.
Also, then you'd have to do some work. So
yeah, don't want to do any of that. None of that. Yeah, this whole thing would fall apart. End immediately.
Right. Absolutely. So Page.com, that's a hell of a job. How did you kind of luck into something like that?
Oh, well, it's a long, not that illustrious story, but I started a Patriots blog myself back in 2007 was when I really first started watching or not watching, I should say, thinking about blogging. I actually, you guys won't get there for another 3 years, but the 07, I was living in California, and I had to come back and see the 07 team, and came back for the Pittsburgh game. And my sister and I were standing in the parking lot, and somebody had paid to actually have a banner flown around the stadium with, 3 Super Bowl trophies with asterisks next to them. And so I was very angry by that. And so when I flew back while living in California at the time, I'm going to write a blog about it. so that started the blog. And so I, blogged for different places early in, mid 2000s. And about 2009, I believe, I started tweeting under a handle called Pat's Propaganda, which I thought sounded edgy, kind of cool. I don't know. And that kind of evolved into a Tumblr blog, and then that became a regular blog. And so basically, after writing for a lot of different outlets for a while, I just said, I just want to write about the Patriots on my terms. And so I wrote Pat's Propaganda, the blog, and part of that became the Bill Belichick Hoodie Database. So I started tracking all of Bill Belichick's hoodies. That got me some attention for its ridiculousness. And yeah, just kept plowing away at it, loved it, and moved back to Boston here in 2017 and saw this job when Andy left, opened up, and knew Fred Kirsch a tiny bit. I wouldn't even say I knew him. I had emailed with him a couple of times. Yeah. Sent him an email, said, hey, I'm an idiot that loves the Patriots and loves blogging about the Patriots, and I have experience in TV and all these things. And, I was podcasting and making t-shirts and hustling and everything. And they said, great, come on in and be on Patriots Unfiltered. So it was kind of like a crazy audition where I just got thrown into the fire with Eric Scalavino and Paul Perillo and Fred. And yeah, that was crazy. I mean, I know how lucky I am. And, I come from blogging roots. And that's why I always, I'm happy to go on with passionate Patriot fans. Like you guys have a totally unique podcast. This is awesome. So I know the grind. I love it. And that's kind of a long story. I've been there 2 seasons now and into my 3rd season. And they just kind of let me keep doing what I did on Pat's Propaganda. So I guess that's a short version. It's kind of long though.
No, that's not bad. See, Steve, there is hope for me.
No, there isn't.
That whittle it all down.
That feels like my origin story, except for the end part where I get to work for the Patriots. So.
Yes.
No, hey, hang in there, man. I'm in my mid-40s when I got this, so I was.
No, it's really cool.
Graphic, Andy just got a bunch of
retweets
or whatever the internet does with things like that. The touchdown ones, all the different size jerseys.
That's true. Yeah. I'm well on my way, Steve. Is that what you're saying? That's my hoodie database. Apparently.
A boy can dream.
Yeah, you got to find some piece of stupidity that only you care enough about to document, and then you'll get to be on the ABC Nightly News, and they call you. God. But this man has the answer to what hoodie Bill Belichick should wear. That's me.
Right. Well, so
podcast about every single goddamn game
that he drags his brothers through.
That's perfect.
It's a good fit. I guess we should probably ask you then, the hoodie for this upcoming big game is there.
I mean, you guys are on the cutting edge right now. I mean, it's funny. On yesterday, I was sitting there and I'm like, oh man, I probably for this game should figure out what he should wear, because I just kind of tweet out now, like I keep track of it, but he doesn't wear a lot of old stuff anymore. So there's not that much interest to it. So I dove into it, and I wish I had my notebook. Had I known you guys were going to ask me this, I was like, I'm going to compose a tweet tomorrow because God knows they're not going to let me write it on Patriots.com, right? Like they're like, no, that's not going. Maybe I'll go back to. I let some guys write Pat's Propaganda now, so maybe I'll go back and write it there. But I went and I thought, I mean, you guys can weigh in on this because my criteria were games that Brady played terrible, but that the Patriots still won. So that was that was kind of the general idea I had. So I not only dove into those, I also dove into some of the playoff games as well. And just a couple of, Brady's just all-time terrible games. And so I think what I came up with, and you guys are probably, I think you guys are going to concur with this being the fans that you are. I came back to, in a great majority of them, Bill Belichick had the classic gray hoodie on with no sleeves, like his iconic look, which he really hasn't worn much of. So he can't wear the Reebok anymore. So I'm thinking it's going to be, here it is. I'm going to drop it here first. I think it's a 27 or 2018 gray cut hoodie. And if he wears that, I mean, and then I'll know he's listening to me. I am in the building. They won't let me within 50 feet of him, but maybe this will somehow get to him. So, a gray hoodie. It's a gray cutoff hoodie.
It makes, I think it just makes sense. Like visually and everything, just like the whole.
He's going against Tom. He's got to wear his all-time classic look, regardless of what the record was. But games like and again, you guys aren't going to be there for 7 years now, but the 2011 AFC Championship game, kind of an all-time Brady clunker that they managed to pull out. So that's one right there.
Not bad.
That he had. So I think that's what you guys got ahead of the curve. I'll have to put something out tomorrow to
we'll keep it quiet for you. We'll let you.
That's an embargo on that until tomorrow.
Yeah. So I mean, there's not many games that Brady plays poorly that they still win, and usually they win because Brady does something at the end.
Right.
If we were further along, that'd be the perfect segue into this game. But
but he doesn't even play well in this game.
No, well, that's what we're saying. You don't want Brady to play well, but you still want the Patriots to win. That's the hoodie that you're gonna wear, right?
Yeah, right, right.
That doesn't happen this week.
That was my criteria.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And I think it's kind of you to say that we're going to get to 2007 in 3 years because it's going to take us a lot longer than that.
You seem like you got the dedication for it. So.
Oh yeah. Oh, this podcast is going to go forever, but it's going to take us fucking 20 years to finish the whole damn thing. Once every other week.
Yeah, we're getting like 8 weeks a year, and there's like 300 games to go.
Yeah, so we'll get there.
Okay,
that time.
Yeah, plenty of time. Yeah, I'll get there. You can come along if you want. But the more interesting thing then Patriots Unfiltered that I want to talk to you about is the new podcast that I think it's just you that's doing, right? Your name's on the box.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, me and producer Matt Morrell, who's really the sound guy that put it all together.
Nice. And it's called 2001 A Super Bowl Sound Odyssey. And the first 6 episodes, 6 one's not out yet, right?
There's 4 episodes. Yeah, there's 4 out right now, actually. And the 5th one will be out a week from tomorrow. So the Friday before the Texans game. And then 2 weeks from that will be the final episode, which will be the Rams game. I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. It's 6 episodes. The first episode is basically free agency, training camp, building the team. The second episode is then essentially Drew Bledsoe getting hurt in 9/11. The third episode is Brady Begins. It's Tom Brady, the regular season, kind of the ups and downs of that season. And then 1 episode each for the playoff games.
Yeah.
And then you're going to do season 2, right? 2002.
Well, it's funny, how it all kind of came about. Is this was kind of an idea that they had. I mean, obviously you guys are in the area as well. Yeah. And so they had kind of the general area that they had wanted to do for a while. And it's all part of this 20-year celebration in 2001, but it was nice because they just kind of gave me carte blanche to do it. And I mean, for me, hearing Gil Santos and Gino Capoletti and their calls on the radio, that stuff was awesome. So the producer, Matt Morrell, he went through a lot of that stuff. A lot of it was, just finding random sound. And it was like, we came up with the name 2001, A Super Bowl Sound Odyssey, but the whole time we were doing it, it was like, I really hope this lives up to the Odyssey part of it. Right. I don't know if this is going to be an Odyssey or what, but based on the sound we were able to get. And then the Patriots PR staff was awesome lining up interviews for me. So I was able to talk to
there's some big names in there.
Yeah, I mean, Scott Pioli, that was one of the first ones I did, which I was just like, I'm like Pat's propaganda Hoodie Database guy, and I'm talking to Scott Pioli, asking him about the 01 season.
My favorite was the Chris Berman stuff on there, because, he's been the voice of our childhood growing up with the Patriots. You watch him on NFL primetime after the games every week, 7:30. He
was so awesome. And it was one where, as you're kind of going along, I really wanted to cover it from all angles, which was obviously players and management and all that. And then it was like, well, I have some local media. I'd really love a national media. And Aaron Salkin, one of the guys who works in Patriots PR, knows Chris Berman. So I was like, hey, can we just ask him? And Aaron's like, yeah, he'll do it. And the cool thing was he was one of the, he called and, I'm totally nervous to talk to him and everything. And he started asking me about it. So this is like a part, but it's going to be edited. It's not live, right? Like you're going to put it, like he instantly kind of got we were going for. And usually I try to get people in and out, 20 minutes. You don't want to take up people's time. I couldn't get him off. I mean, he just, I got one more story for you, Mike. I got one more story for you. I mean, and just to, like a little sample of it was from the most recent episode we released, episode 4, which was the Raiders. And the story he tells is, I used to call Bill after the games. And so after that game, I was, had finished taping prime time. I, gave the Patriots a call and he said, one ring and burnt Patriots. Bill Belichick answers the phone. He said, Bill, what are you doing? He said, well, Chris, have you seen the weather? I'm not going anywhere. And so they, ended up chatting at about 2 a.m. after that game. So, a lot of really cool stories. There's another story he tells before the Rams Super Bowl game about, he cleared the room before the game in the media availability and talked to Bill Belichick and, shared those stories with me as well. So it's just, super cool. We also got Joey McIntyre from New Kids on the Block, which randomly kind of came about that he was like, hey, I sang the anthem for the Raiders game. I'd love to do something. And I'm like, well, this idiot here's got a podcast. You want to be on that?
Go talk to him.
Yeah. So there I am, sitting with Joey McIntyre, the New Kids in the Patriots studio. So it was super fun. And I mean, as you guys probably share the same passion that I had that drove the whole thing. And so for me, it was just so exciting to be able to spend the off season and kind of try to contribute something to that season and a new perspective here 20 years later. So very, very proud of it. It's definitely one of the biggest things I've ever done. So just, really a love letter to the fans and the people that love it. And, being able, just for me as a fan, being able to hear those calls again, to hear those plays unfold from when you're not quite sure what's going to happen. I mean, everybody kind of knows the big moment calls from everything that's been put out. But, when you come in a little bit early to the play and you start to hear it unfold and it's like, all right, Brady back to what's going to happen. So I think that's been a lot of fun.
Even just hearing, I can't remember if it was Gil or Gino, just talking through what the like the offensive lineup was, you know? He's talking about he's got 2 to the far side left, 1 to the near side, right? And it's just like it brought me right back to exactly where I was listening to that game.
You can hear the atmosphere. You know, I think that was one of the things was cool. I mean, there's, you know, many moments just as I was editing it and going through it with Matt, where it's just, you know, I'm like, I'm getting chills again. You know, you just those moments, the sound especially. So it was cool. A lot of it came out, you know, how I was hoping, especially I think in episode 4 with the Raiders. That was, I think, when we got Amy Trask from the Raiders, who was just awesome and really funny and sweet and just, you know, really, really great interview. And I think she and Michael Lombardi as well, it was kind of the perfect connection between Belichick and Pioli and their Cleveland days. And then, you know, working for the Raiders. So he kind of knew the Patriots, knew what the Patriots were and all that.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. So if you listen to this little podcast, I highly recommend listen to the 2001 the Super Bowl Sound Odyssey, because it's basically what we would do if we were professionals, with access to all the audio and the interviews. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. If I was in your spot, I would have insisted on talking to Troy Brown.
I know. Well, he's there all the time. And so, I mean, you know, the funny thing is, I mean, you guys probably have a pretty good idea of how things roll there with, you know, how it's run and everything. And, you know, so I was just laughing that, hey, it's easier for me to get Mike Vrabel from the Titans than it is to get Troy Brown, the receivers coach, or, you know, I really wanted, I mean, one of the ones I was disappointed about was just trying to get Josh McDaniels. We just couldn't quite work it out as we got kind of down. And, you know, as he was a first year kind of low level assistant, and, you know, I was like, why does he want to talk to me? I'm like, that's exactly why I want to talk to you. You know, you were here to kind of see the ground floor of it. So that was one that got away, but I think overall we got some good people who kind of covered it all.
Nice. Yeah. I've enjoyed especially the most recent one, because it's a shame Greg's not here. That's his, did he say that's his favorite ever Patriots game?
I think he said non-playoff.
No, it was the playoff game was the
Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't think it mattered. I thought he said that was his best ever Patriots game, just because of the atmosphere and it being the last game in old Foxborough Stadium and everything, and the snow. And
he said if he could go to one Patriots game, it would be that one, which I think we all agreed on.
Yeah. If you go back in time, that's where to be.
And I mean, we had the problem with the episode because it's like, so 2 legendary, never to be forgotten plays, at least. I mean, maybe 3 with both kicks, but you know, happened within the last few minutes of the game. And it's like now, you know, and then I'm trying to edit the Pittsburgh the next week, and you're like, nobody cares about special teams victories. You know, like, I mean, obviously Bledsoe coming in plays a big part in it, but you know, it's I mean, such an epic game, and obviously the Super Bowl was epic too. So it's just you know, I don't think anything can ever really top that Raiders win in the snow.
Yeah, I think you're right. So do you have, let's say outside of that, well, let's say regular season, do you have a favorite Patriots game or favorite Patriots moment or anything like that?
That's a good one. You know, I'd have to probably go with games that I went to, because I lived in California. I grew up around here in New England, and then I lived in California for 18 years, and then I moved back the last 4 or 5 years. So going to games was always a special occasion for me. So some of the games that I went to that were great experiences were the 2006 Chargers playoff game. I drove down to San Diego for that. It's a whole long story. I'll tell it quick because it's good. Right. So you live in I live in California, I live in Los Angeles, and you know, the Patriots beat the Jets, and now all of a sudden it dawns on the idiot that, oh geez, the Patriots are coming out here. They're gonna have to play the friggin' Chargers with Tomlinson and Rivers. And I mean, they were a wagon that year.
Yeah, they were.
So you get word that they're going to release some tickets to California residents only. So, you know, I'm like, oh, hell yeah. So I get on Ticketmaster, and this is like, you know, the olden days I had all these, you know, windows open at Ticketmaster. I mean, I guess it's not the old days. It's probably still the current days. I got all these windows open, and, you know, and so, you know, some tickets come up, I get them. Oh, nice. You know, and I go to like check out, and the site crashes, you know, so probably everybody's been there. You think you got them. I go back, I'm looking, no tickets. All the tickets have sold out within 5 minutes. I'm so mad. I had them. The computer crashed. I lost them. So a few minutes go by, and I'm fuming. And I say, all right, you know what? If it happened to me and my tickets got returned, maybe I'm just going to take one more shot. So put it in. There's one ticket available. I don't even look where it is. I just put it in. I'm like, I'm buying it. Like, you know, every click is like completely slow, deliberate, like trying to get through everything. I get it. I get the tickets. I'm like waiting for the email confirmation. It comes through, and I'm like, all right, well, where am I sitting? Go to look at the ticket. I'm 9 rows in back of the Patriots bench, like a solo ticket. Actually, I think you can see it over my shoulder right here, right there. Right. This. My wife made me a nice thing with like the cover, my ticket, picture from the game. But I mean, I went solo. I was in the middle of a bunch of Patriot fans. You all know. Well, you guys will get there in about 2 years. You'll know how that game
give or take.
But it was awesome. So that game, and then also I came back once for the 2014 game against the Broncos, and went with my buddy Fitzy and Peyton Manning. They ran him off the field. It was the Gronk one-handed catch, the Edelman punt return that we've seen so much of, and that was just. From the blog stuff, we had some giveaways. They gave us a bunch of stuff to give away in the parking lot. So it was like me, Nick, Fitzy Stevens, his buddy George, who he does all the Pats fans videos with, and Jerry Thornton. And we were running around the parking lot, just spreading Patriot joy to tailgaters, giving stuff away. And then we went in and watched the Patriots beat up on Peyton Manning. So it was those are the two I think that come to mind as random favorites of my own.
Yeah, those are good ones. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, being at one of those playoff games, those comebacks. Speaking of Troy Brown, right? Jeez,
yeah.
Marlon McRae. That's
Troy Brown game right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Thought it was over.
Yep. It's never over when you got Troy Brown out there.
When you see Troy, tell him we said hey.
Yes, absolutely.
I've never said a word to him. I've been there 2.5 years.
The first word you should say to him are, these guys who have a podcast say hey.
Yeah, that's our goal for this podcast at this
last
point.
Name is also Brown.
Yeah. Gotcha.
You guys will get along great.
Brother from another mother.
That's right. All right. Steve, you got any questions?
I'm good.
You're good? All right.
How do you guys feel about the game this week? Let me ask you one question before I get out of here.
Yeah.
That was going to be my next question. You got any questions for us?
Yeah. How you feel about the game this weekend? Where your allegiances lie right now as two crazy Patriot fans? Because I'm in a weird position. I work for the team, so I have to be kind of positive. But a lot of people there that I work with, are also very argumentative. And so I got to deal with all that. But it's been a rough week. And I mean, I guess I'll just throw out where I'm at. I've just tried to appreciate it. Everybody wants to talk about how it ended. I want to remember the good times. It's crazy that we're going to get to see these guys play against each other. Yeah. For me, it's going to be the last time I'm probably ever going to see them in person, which I've been, incredibly lucky to do a bunch of times now. So that's how I'm trying to go into it. And whatever happens, the Patriots are 1-3. It is what it is.
Yeah, I think I echo Julian Edelman's sentiments about how it feels like a divorce and like having to go to a picnic with both parents or something like that. Like it just feels, part of it just feels really awkward, especially because how much pressure the media is going to put on it. Like, isn't like the morning shows are all showing up, like the national morning shows are doing their show from Gillette Stadium or something ridiculous. Like
I can confirm that.
It's like Super Bowl levels of just like attention, which I think I actually thought about this in the shower this morning. The one good thing about this is that Mac Jones will get that sort of environment and that sort of like playoff atmosphere against a really good team. And in the end of the day, it doesn't really matter that much in the standings because losing a game early in the season to an NFC team is like, who the fuck cares?
Week 4 against the NFC South, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, it's fine. And maybe Mac will show us something and maybe he will be the next Tom Brady or even the next Drew Bledsoe or whatever.
I'll just take the next 4 years. He's a solid quarterback that can maybe win you some games. And I mean, I'll just say too, like, I mean, it's been really cool getting to watch him develop. And I mean, from when we saw him in the spring, just the progress he's made has been amazing. And just instantly having kind of pocket presence and, delivering accurate throws under pressure. I mean, it's, obviously he's getting a super crash course right now, but just having, seen him a lot this summer, saw him, we went down to Philly, saw him at the joint practices there, saw him against the Giants, which he had, a great day when Cam was out. So I continue everything that's kind of happened the first 3 weeks. I'm just excited about Mac Jones and getting to, see what happens. I don't know if he's going to be the next 20-year quarterback here, but I think he's shown enough. He'll be the next few years. He's somebody we can be excited about watching.
And even just
this
watching
week.
the 2001, 2, 3, 4 seasons.
Yeah.
Like Tom Brady back then isn't Tom Brady who he is now, So, I mean, he's still, even in the game we're going to talk about after this, is making very un-Brady-like mistakes sort of thing. So, I mean, you kind of have
Terrible mistakes.
You have to remember that, like, he hasn't always been this infallible football god, and that, like, there's going to be some bumps in the road for whoever the new guy is, even if he does end up being that Tom Brady.
Yeah, would just love to see that clutch gene. I think that's what was cool about Brady was that he always had the ability down the stretch to make the big plays, and that showed up right away. He wasn't 2007 Brady right out of the gate, but he had. I think right the next week will be, I think, the anniversary of the Chargers, or maybe 2 weeks from now will be the Chargers game that they won in overtime where he threw the ball like 50 times in like week 4. So it's I'd love to see Mac get that kind of opportunity to pull a win out. Maybe in the last moments. I don't know about this weekend, but maybe next weekend.
Yeah, you're right. It's going to be interesting to see him in that situation and in this high pressure situation too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's close, but Brady wins. And I can love the Patriots and I can love Tom Brady. I don't see why these are mutually exclusive.
Because they're going against each other, Steve.
So I want the Patriots to win, but I don't want
pick a side.
Yeah.
My thing is that I just don't care about the Bucs. Like I'll watch Tom Brady play in the Bucs. It's great. I just don't care. I can't root for the Bucs. I don't feel anything.
Yeah. I feel the same way. Like it's like rooting for like the Arizona Diamondbacks. It's like are they even a real team? Like I don't even, are they AAA? I'm not sure. That's kind of how the Bucs feel. They feel like a Disney ride that turned into a football team to me.
Right. It's gonna be over soon.
It's fun to watch though.
Yeah.
I love
it. Is. They're good.
But it's just Tom Brady that you're watching. You're not watching it for the Bucs, are you?
Now I get Tom Brady on my fantasy team and I can put bets on him because I used to not do any of that shit because I don't need to be all the way in,
That's a good coping mechanism. I deal with it through Madden. I just I sack Tom Brady a bunch of times as the Patriots in it, and I feel bad.
At least you can get to him in Madden.
Well, if you put it on easy, otherwise, no, it's not happening. Right. And even then. All right, Mike. Well, thank you for giving us your time. This has been fantastic.
Yeah,
guys.
Can't wait to hear the rest of the 2001 Super Bowl Sound Odyssey. So look forward to that.
Appreciate it, guys. And hey, hit me up when you get to the 06 Chargers game. I'll come back. I'll do that. I'll be happy to do that game with you guys. I'll give you my whole live drunken perspective because it was awesome.
Perfect. That's what we like to hear. All right, Mike. We'll talk to you soon then.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right. See you later.
Bye.
Tune in next week to see how much of a blubbering little bitch Greg is on the Patriots Dynasty podcast.
Well, that was the wrong button. I meant to do the but it also fits.
They both work.
They do. All right. So there's hope for us yet, Steve. If Mike Dussault can get himself into one Patriots place, we should be able to get a word with Troy Brown. I think that's reasonable.
The strategy is just work as many angles as you can find, Andy.
Right, and this is what we're doing. So far, so good.
Pumping every person who comes on with, yo. Let me know. Let them know. Yo. Just holler at it.
I love how blunt you are about it with literally every single person that comes on too. Like, hey, do you know Troy Brown? What's his phone number? I need to text him.
Way to do it, dude.
So I guess. I mean, it hasn't worked yet, but you do you.
Doesn't mean it won't.
That's true. All right, we should probably talk about these 2004 Patriots because it's put me in a very current game mood. And I think we may have to release this episode a little earlier than our normal Tuesday because I feel like it should be released before the Buccaneers game.
Sure.
So because this is the end of like a streak of its own that we're coming to. This is the first loss that we have watched in 21 weeks of doing a podcast.
Oh, I didn't
21 episodes.
I only watched the first quarter and then the highlights.
I mean, so let's talk about a watchability score because I feel like that's inappropriate.
Very low. Maybe I will give it 1.5 Lombardis.
Oh, not even a half. There's no redeeming features on this. I was actually I was looking for highlights to put on the website for this. And outside of the 2 touchdowns that happened, there aren't any.
Come on, dude. Put every one of David Gibbons' catches up there. He was a beast. He had 8 catches, 2 touchdowns, over 100 yards.
He did, but
He had
I
a
mean,
couple sweet catches too.
he had one, but once he started making the catches, it was almost garbage time, so they stopped showing replays.
His tap touchdown wasn't good.
It was good. No, I'm saying by the time he scored it, the coverage, the TV coverage has decided it was garbage time, and so they weren't showing replays. So he had this one like super catch on the sideline.
That was
his first catch
for first down.
Yeah. And why wasn't it for a first down?
Because it was like 4th or 3rd or 2nd and 40 or whatever. So
it was 2nd and 24 and it went for 12.
Yeah. Tom Brady was getting sacked all the time.
Yeah. And it was a toe tap catch in double coverage over Troy Polamalu. And they didn't show a replay. They're just like, they didn't even like mention that he actually caught it. Like, we're not sure if he caught that one. And then like the referees placed the ball down.
Drive.
Yeah. And so they just like kept on talking. Like, okay. So that play will be on there, Steve, just for you.
All right, good. I'm saying there was very, very little bright. That was the only little bit.
I'd say there was one other bright spot for the Patriots in this game. And that would be Bethel Johnson, who was literally the only person not having a nightmare day.
Yes, because he fumbled that kick return. The long one he broke, he fumbled it right as he went out of bounds.
He did it out of bounds. It's fine by me.
Was fucking up though. He also had that illegal substitution penalty because he didn't come when he substituted.
Oh, that's right.
He didn't come inside the numbers.
Yeah.
So it wiped out like a 7-yard run because
which
that's a rule. It's the dumbest rule of all time.
Yeah. But let's actually talk about the caveats to this game before we like get into all the bad stuff that happened. Because the Patriots came in with, could we call it a skeleton crew?
They're just injured.
They're out. Deion Branch, their number 1 wide receiver, he's out with injury.
Troy Brown's back, though.
Troy Brown is back, but it's not looking his same self quite yet. This is his first game back in a while. I think maybe the first game we've seen him this season.
Yes.
I don't remember. It's been a while. I think we may have seen him like early on, but he's been out for quite a few games. Tom Ashworth, their starting right tackle, he's out. And the big one is Corey Dillon is not playing in this game because he suffered an injury in practice, I think I said. Yeah, like a leg injury. But he played last week on a leg injury too, so I'm wondering if he just kind of like re-aggravated something because they've been talking about him and an injury past couple of weeks. But
if you think about it, I'm assuming he plays next week.
I believe so.
But he has like 1,600 yards this year, and he does it on one less game. Year.
Yeah. And I think there was another game where he went out early too. So he kind of did it.
He did.
Yeah. So
like his first game, I think.
Yeah, I think it was first. It was early in the season. Yeah. So tough way to start. And then on defense, the Patriots decided that going up against a red hot rookie, Ben Roethlisberger, without a defensive backfield was the way to go. Tyrone Poole was out injured to begin with, and then Ty Law went down on the second drive of the game, like pulled up hurt and tried to like limp off the field and couldn't even like get all the way off, had to get carted off.
I believe that is Ty Law's last snap in a Patriots uniform.
What?
Right? Isn't he done after? He isn't on the Patriots next year because he's hurt the rest of this year.
Is he? He's done for the season?
This isn't this ankle injury that he hurts him pretty good.
You might be right. Oh, I didn't even put that together, but shit. That sucks because, and we'll get into it in a little bit more detail, but that was the beginning of the end for this game. And
it was Asante Samuel's first start, I think.
Asante's
Tyrone Poole's out.
Yeah, so he may be getting his first start. I know he's played before.
At this point, he's our top corner with Ty Law out.
Right. And Ty Law's replacement is Randall Gay, who got absolutely torched in this game. I felt like every time there was a completion, number 21 was there behind the receiver.
Well, the very next play after Ty Law went out, they threw that bomb to Plaxico Burress.
Well, yeah. I want to get into that in a second, but
I don't want to get into it. We just
after that, but Randall Gay also went out injured. So they were talking about the only defensive backs that the Patriots had left were Dexter Reed and Gerard Cherry.
Yeah, see, this is why I didn't watch this game.
Yeah, and I wrote down Dexter Reed. I don't even know if I spelled his last name right. I couldn't tell you because I don't remember Dexter Reed on this team, but he was out there in the end of the game. But this game, I mean, for all it was, it started out all right. The Patriots forced a 3-and-out and then get a field goal, but the Pittsburgh offense, I think, had been playing pretty well. Mainly Ben Roethlisberger. This is his rookie season where he goes a bunch of games undefeated, because they were talking about even at the beginning of this one where the winning streaks to open your like rookie career is 6 games. It's going 6-0 before your first loss. This is fantastic. It was Mike Krzyzewski, who was a Steelers quarterback in 1976, who's the guy that went 6-0. And then Phil Simms and Ben Roethlisberger, I think, are both at 4-game win streaks at this point. But Mike Krzyzewski, in his 6-game win streak to start his career, had a touchdown interception differential of 0-3. So 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and a QB rating of 67.9 in those 6 games. And they went 6-0. So
didn't he like not ever start more than that either? Like that's like his entire record.
I think it might be. Yeah.
What they implied. I didn't look it up.
Yeah, I didn't either, because I spent as little time on this game as I possibly could after the first quarter, like you said.
Steelers don't lose again until they lose to us. Correct.
Yeah, this is the time when Steelers go 15-1, which is their best ever record.
And Big Ben must not have been starting for their first loss of the season, whenever that was.
No, so yeah, Big Ben came in for an injured. Who the hell was it? No, it was after Cordell Stewart. I think I have it written down here. Someone like that, yeah.
Stat check, Greg.
Yeah, where the fuck is Greg? God damn it.
Deliberate. It is Tommy Maddox.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so it is Tommy Maddox. Yeah, he started the season 2-1, and then Ben Roethlisberger came in and went 13-0 the regular season. Did not lose a game. I think he came halfway through one of those games too. So he came in, and the Steelers are actually the first AFC team ever to go 15-1. Obviously not the best ever record in the AFC. That'll get broken in 2007-ish. But they were actually talking about this last week in last week's broadcast, where the Steelers were watching the Jets-Patriots game last week because both teams were undefeated, and they were rooting for the Patriots because they want to be the ones to end the streak. So it was that kind of Steelers team back with the chin. What's his name?
Everyone wants the champs, Andy.
Bill Cowher
wants the champs.
That's true.
Clearly,
That's true.
Steelers thought they wanted the champs, and then they got the champs in the playoffs. So were they asking for that too? Because it didn't work out for them.
I don't think they were, but maybe they were. We'll find out when we get there. But yeah, so Bill Cowher and his team were rooting for the Patriots because they wanted to be the ones to end this. And they are actually coming off a bye week this week too. So everybody's healthy. Playing this beat up Patriots team who just had a brawl with the Jets the week before. You know, typical shit. So started off all right. Patriots led this game 3-0, believe it or not. And defense had been looking good. Ben Roethlisberger getting chased around, not getting sacked, because sacking Ben Roethlisberger is like sacking a Mack truck. But getting harassed enough so they went 3-and-out the first 2 drives. And then they almost had a chance to pin the Steelers at their own 3-yard line, but that's when the issues started. And the ball got kind of whoever the gunner was there tried to down it, but accidentally booted it into the end zone. So it's a touchback. And even then, so I actually printed out the drive sheet for what happened, because we're talking 5 minutes and 43 seconds left in the first quarter. And Roethlisberger just completed a pass to Burris, Plexico Burris. But Burris was called for offensive pass interference. So it's 1st and 20, Pittsburgh on their own 28. And then Roethlisberger hits Hines Ward, who was open because Ty Law injured his ankle and might never play for the Patriots again. 2 plays later, Roethlisberger hits Plaxico for 47-yard touchdown over Ty Law's replacement, Randall Gay. Patriots get the ball back. First play from scrimmage after the kickoff. Tom Brady sacked by Joey Porter, hit from behind. Ball squirts out and Steelers recover. And then, 4 plays later, Ben Roethlisberger hits Plaxico Burress again for a 4-yard touchdown. So that's 2 touchdowns. Yeah. We're still in the first quarter, by the way. Patriots get the ball back with 22 seconds left in the first quarter. Going to try and make something happen. Brady gets intercepted by Dussault Townsend, and that is returned for a touchdown.
Why are you making me relive this, Indy? I told you I already watched the first quarter, and that's why
we're doing this. We're doing this for the listeners, Steve.
No, I don't.
They need to
either.
They need to wallow in our misery.
A body bag that the Patriots were in by the end of the first quarter.
The Steelers have now scored 3 touchdowns in 3 minutes and 33 seconds to end the first quarter. Except the first quarter is not over. There's still 9 seconds left. So the Patriots get the ball back, kick return. The first play is called dead because it's a false start. And then they run the last play of the first quarter, which is Kevin Falk for -2 yards. And then Tom Brady gets sacked at the first play of the second quarter by Joey Porter for 10 yards. It's now 3rd and 27. So that is how this game turned. And that's kind of all you really need to know. That was it.
Ball game too. First play of the second half, they get the ball.
Oh, yeah.
Got it within 2 touchdowns. And Kevin Falk stripped all the ball after he catches it, and they get it. And
second play of the half. Exactly. Then they turn around and score another touchdown, and it's 34.
Not worth watching.
10. Yeah, game over. 31-10, game over. So there are 2 Brady to Givens touchdowns in this. The second one is an absolute dime, like you said.
Givens is sweet.
So if you want to catch that on PatsDynasty.com, just watch those highlights. I think we linked to the YouTube highlights. Don't even bother.
Yeah, just go for the Givens ones.
Yeah, just watch the Givens touchdowns.
I did actually go to the full game and then go watch the Givens touchdowns in their entirety.
Yeah, they're sweet. So that second one. The second one reminded me of the one Greg was talking about with David Patton against the Bears and that huge comeback.
Yeah.
In 2002.
Even those highlights on YouTube don't even have them, though. So you have to go into the game to watch it.
Right, yeah.
The only place you can find it is patriotsdynasty.info.
PatsDynasty.com now. Easy to remember. Yeah, they both work, but yes. PatsDynasty.com is easy to remember.
PatsPod.com still work? Because that's what I tell people.
Yeah, PatsPod.com still works.
Okay.
That's how you get to the podcast page on the website.
Got it.
Just don't tell people that.
I don't
it's the same
do it
website.
on Twitter. I just do it using my voice. I tell people.
Yeah, PatsPod.com, baby. So I think we should probably get a sense of what Belichick thought of this game.
That was on the primetime highlight, his interview.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Sounds like him now. It doesn't sound any different.
Right. So what does Bill Belichick think about that?
They outcoached us. They outplayed us. They did a lot of things right, and they certainly deserved to win, and they won convincingly. We weren't very good in any phase of the game. Didn't do much anything right. Anytime you give up 34 points, especially on the road, it can be hard to win.
It sounds like he's about to cry.
Can you imagine if you had a bad day at work and then your boss comes out and says that to the media? You are toast tomorrow.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure he's actually somewhat glad that the streak ended. A, that it ended so people stopped talking about it and asking questions about it.
Maybe.
And B, that it ended in such a blow up way where they made a million mistakes, right? That he can just say, look, they're not perfect.
Yeah. And that could be one of those. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Where it's one of those games where you kind of like the 2001 game that David Patton talked about in his Pass from the Past podcast, And he was talking about the thing that stuck with him in 2001 the most was when they got blown out by Miami. Remember that game? I think it was like right after either right before or right after. Oh, no, it was right after the Brady's first start. It was his second start.
Yeah.
And they had beaten the Colts in his first start. And then they got their doors blown off in Miami in 2001. And Belichick, when everybody, like, they, tore into bits in the film room. But then when they went out to the field, there was a hole dug at the end of one of the practice fields. And Belichick took the football. It was like, this was the game ball from last game. And they just fucking buried it. It's like, so it's all done. Like, we're done talking about it. We're done thinking about it. We're moving on next week. Like, it sucked. Moving on. And Patton's like, that was the moment I realized that, like, we're going to be all right this year because we could bounce back from something like that. Like, fuck yeah.
Maybe we'll do that after this Brady at Pats game.
Why can you, though? They're synthetic fields now. Oh, maybe the practice fields aren't.
There's somewhere in Gillette Stadium with actual dirt, maybe.
Yeah, you got to find it. Like, go out in the parking lot there.
He'll bury it in front of TB12 Fitness.
Oh, right, that's not bad. Like, be under the sign or something. I like it. Yeah, I mean, don't watch this game. That's basically what we're telling you. And if you do, it's your own goddamn fault because we've warned you multiple times.
Yes, a very unwatchable game.
Well, I did talk to a Steeler fan today, and he's like, "Oh, I would watch that game. Like, I fucking bet you would." So if you're a Steeler fan, you listen to this. One, why? And two, feel free to watch this. You'll probably really, really enjoy this game.
Bring back some good memories. Feel free to watch the playoff game between these two teams. It's like as a point A, point B sort of thing.
He is so salty. I fucking love it.
I mean, they play him again. So
they do, yeah.
Same personnel.
Well, the Patriots I think will be a bit healthier.
And at that point, the Steelers are on a big win streak.
This is true, yeah. Yeah. So time to return the favor. That's a great point, Steve. That is a great point. Man, I'm thinking about best and worst in the back of my head here, and I don't know if I have anything.
There is no other best besides David Givens. So,
well, here's a best. I saw Plaxico Burress, and I wrote down, is that a gun in his waistband, or is he just excited to score touchdowns?
I hate Plaxico Burress. That's why this game is also awful.
Yeah, but come on, that's a pretty good one.
Is it?
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good burn. It was a pretty good burn.
It's cheap.
Exactly. That's why it's good, because it's salty, just like you.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yeah. They did show a stat of fewest rushing yards per rush touchdown.
Since
1980.
And no one cares on this stupid game, Andy.
Jerome Bettis.
We should bury it in the backyard. Take this episode and bury that.
So how about this? Oh, no, that doesn't work. Anyway.
The worst.
I got my numbers mixed up, but no biggie. So this marks the end of the win streak, which is fine. Everything good comes to an end, which we're learning this week with the Patriots and everything. It was 399 days since the Patriots' last loss. So we've had it pretty good here on this podcast and as Pats fans in general. So one loss is a bit of a blip because these Patriots in 2004 don't exactly lose a lot of games, do they?
My favorite was on the primetime highlights. They were talking about their last loss, and they said it was in the Redskins back in 2002. And Steve Spurrier, and they're both like, "Oh yeah," like he's already an afterthought.
Right. Well, that's what they showed a stat where the last two coaches to beat New England are no longer head coaches in the NFL. Because one, like you said, was Steve Spurrier, who is just like not a coach anymore, and the other one was Greg Williams, who was the Buffalo head coach, who is now like a defensive coordinator for somebody because he got demoted. So maybe that's the death knell for your boy Bill Cowher, because he doesn't last much longer, does he?
Yeah, he goes out on his own accord.
Does he?
Yeah.
I don't remember how he did. Did he leave after he won that Super Bowl?
I don't know if that's after that, but he definitely doesn't get fired.
No, but he will go 2 more years. 2005, the Steelers win the Super Bowl. and probably should have gone out on top because the next year, 2006, the Steelers go 8-8, miss the playoffs. So, and then he doesn't coach again. That was it. So went out on his own accord, but 1 year too late. Like all good Steelers things. I don't know.
Dude,
apparently I'm still
you're
salty.
Just dragging this episode out to punish me right now, aren't you?
Yes, that's exactly right.
The worst. I don't want to think about Bill Cowher and his stupid fucking mustache.
And just, the mustache is what it is, not the chin.
It's
Mustache
the whole look.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. If you don't like his mustache, I think you'll probably not like this. Where is it? Here it is. The fans. I just want to get your reaction because I don't think you could made it this far in the game.
What? What are they doing? Sims, Vance, get your head in the game. Let's go.
That's excellent.
Coach Cowher here on Halloween. I mean, a dead ringer for him there.
No, it couldn't have been Coach Cowher because he would have spit a lot more, and the chin, you know, he just wasn't enough there. But that was pretty good, though.
Yeah, I saw a little spray coming out.
He's like me. It's Vance, what are you doing? Let's go. But exciting stuff here so far today.
And
So bad. These fucking Steelers fans.
That was actually a pretty good impersonation and costume.
I fucking knew you'd be positive. I should have known you'd be positive about that. Fuck.
I'm just trying to take the opposite side of you, Andy. So you
it was
don't enjoy
awful.
As much as
it was a half-ass approach. You put a fucking Steelers hat on and a headset.
I want you to not
and had a laminated piece of paper.
Yeah, and you had the nice impression.
It wasn't that good.
It's so good the TV cameras filmed it and put it on national broadcast. So
they should. And we can't get nationally broadcast for all our
that guy is more
hard work
famous than you. At least you can tell his kids he was on TV. You got nothing. You got a stupid podcast. No one listens to it anyways.
Oh, God damn it. All right. So the only thing that sucks more than the fans and the field in this game is Steve Brown, apparently.
No, it's you.
All right. Give me your best and worst then, you
No, I don't have any.
Prick.
I got nothing.
No.
It's a stupid exercise. All we're doing is harping on the bad things, which there are a million in this game. There's nothing good outside of David Gibbons. Should have been a 2-minute conversation. You see those cool touchdowns, everything else, that shit sucked. All right. See you next week.
Steve. No, you gotta suffer through the bad so that you can appreciate the good. Because now that we've watched this game, we've suffered through it. That AFC Championship game is gonna feel orgasmic. And to Greg, it's just gonna be like, it's another win. Be like, nah, but we actually watched that.
Andy. I got a lot of character.
You don't have enough character.
No, I don't.
You have the bad kind of character, Steve.
Yeah, so I don't need any more. So
no, you need the good kind of character.
No.
Yes.
Not characters. No such different.
There is. All right, give me your best and worst.
Are you for real?
Yeah.
I already went down this road.
Give me something. No, we can't end this podcast until we do best and worst.
This is stupid. There is no best. Everything sucks. This whole game sucked. Why are we doing this? This is stupid. And I guarantee you,
then what's your worst?
They're nodding, saying he's given that answer before on the dinner table about best and worst.
I bet you have.
Definitely. She knows better than to keep asking me, Andy. You don't.
All right, I'll do my best and worst.
Okay, great.
Let's see. My best is learning where Ted Johnson got all his anger from.
If you watch this whole game, listen to the commentators the whole time, you're just ridiculous.
I watched the whole thing. I was kind of skipping like the middle of plays by the end of it because it was fucking garbage time. But they were talking about how all of Ted Johnson's injury issues started when he tried to tackle Jerome Bettis the last time they met. And Ted Johnson will go downhill fast from here. So I think we'll now know why Ted Johnson has such an axe to grind against the Patriots and Bill Belichick specifically. But maybe it should be partially because of Jerome Bettis.
No,
for being so hard to tackle.
Bettis. He has a bunch of head issues, right?
Bettis?
No, Johnson.
Oh yeah, Ted Johnson. Well, he's on the radio now.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. He's very Comes across as very anti-Patriots and anti-Belichick and what the fuck are they doing? But I mean, so do all Boston sports media these days. So who knows? Maybe it's real. Maybe it's just an act like it is with everybody else.
All right. What's your worst?
My best is that Troy Brown is back.
Is that your
catching
best
balls?
Was that you have multiple bests?
Yeah. Well, I'm making up for you not having any. Oh, and also Bethel Johnson. You talked about he had that one bonehead play, but you didn't talk about the fact that he did that awesome, like the Steelers kicked it almost out of bounds, but it wasn't going to go out of bounds. So he like jumped. So he was standing out of bounds and then picked up the ball. So therefore it's technically out of bounds. We've seen Wes Welker do it before too.
Didn't see it.
Oh, we will.
Didn't watch a game. Didn't see it.
Yeah.
Next.
So Bethel Johnson.
Next.
Awesome. Let's see. Do you want any more bests? I could probably find another one for you.
No, we're good.
Kevin Falk, leading receiver. That's not necessarily a good sign, but it happened.
Yeah. And a fumble.
Yeah. All right. So worst, David Givens streak ending. That sucks. I don't know what I got up to. It was 25 or his first catch in the game was 25th. So it was right. It was almost 30, which is pretty fucking impressive. I asked Twitter, and apparently there's some like receivers from 1970s who all they did were deep balls. So every catch was a first down. And it was like hundreds. So they might be the highest players with the most catches for first downs in a row with these guys. That's literally all they did.
David Givens was to start a season.
Yeah. Well, I mean, these guys started every season that way because all they did was catch first downs because every pass to them was like 40 yards downfield.
Doesn't sound like real football to me. Sounds like it should be a David Givens record anyways.
Yeah. So we're going to give it to David. So yeah, let's do it. We'll give it to David Givens. If you design a banner, I'll print it up and we'll see if we can find out where he lives and we'll mail it to him. That won't be creepy at all.
No.
Okay. We'll ask around. We'll get you to ask people if they know where David Givens lives.
Yeah, let's start with Troy Brown, then we'll get to David Givens.
All right. Well, maybe Troy. I mean, Troy obviously knows David Givens.
Of course, they're boys.
So they'll be like, "Hey, would you give him this banner from us?
Okay, yeah.
This championship belt, this WWF championship belt. It's most first down receptions to start a career."
That's not even it. But all right, come on. Next, what else?
Whatever. All right.
Put this stupid game in the hole and bury it.
So you want a worst?
No.
That's what you're looking for? Because I did my best. The worst is the fact that the Steelers are so good. After this, they would go on to beat the other last undefeated team in the Eagles in back-to-back weeks. So they, as Mike Dussault was saying, are a wagon. They're a fucking wagon.
Feeling pretty good.
Yeah. And they're backing up their talk about wanting to be the ones to break the streak and all that garbage. Garbo. Patriots halftime rushing stats. That's probably in the bad column. They had allowed 81 rushing yards and they had rushed for a total of -1. A great start.
No Corey Dillon.
Nope. Oh, here's another good worst. The fans in Pittsburgh, they had the worst signs hanging. And I took a screenshot one. It literally just says Big Ben number 7. Black letters, yellow background. That's it.
What's wrong?
Like, yeah, we know. We can see it. He's out there. He's the guy in the number 7. Like put some sort of creativity. Like I don't want the names of people and the numbers of the jerseys they wear.
Hey, Andy, they're big enough to get it on TV, smart enough to get it on TV. You haven't been on TV. You're making fun of all these fans.
I've been on TV.
You've never been on TV.
I've been on TV.
I
was on TV because I brought a rubber chicken to Wimbledon. I was on TV.
Prove it.
Ask Auntie Pauline. She was there with me.
No, yeah.
And the Rush Breeze have it on VHS somewhere, I think.
Yeah, there you go. Prove it.
Yeah. So you'll have to ask them.
No, you have to. You're the burden of proof, Andy. You're the one who's claiming to be on Wimbledon.
No, I told you where the proof is. Go find it yourself. No. Do your own research, Steve.
No. Let's get Greg on it. He's a stat checker.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. We'll get him to do it whenever he decides to ever show up again. So they showed some Patriots winning ways. This was a best. 21 straight wins, including playoffs, is the longest streak in NFL history. 18 straight regular season wins, longest streak in NFL history. 7 straight road wins, also longest streak in franchise history. And then, like we said, it was 399 days since the Patriots' last loss. It's 4 days since the Red Sox won the World Series. Fucking right. And it's 2 Britney Spears marriages worth of days is how they decided to measure, apparently.
That's terrible.
Patriots haven't lost in 2 Britney Spears marriages. So, cool. All right. Do you got anything else, Steve?
No. I got nothing else, Andy.
Oh, I got a commentator thing for you.
Yeah, but you forgot to talk about the refs, too.
Oh, I can talk about the refs. Yeah, I got one refs thing. I got one ref thing and one commentator thing.
They got commentary things. We got plenty more to go. Come on.
All right. Okay. All right. The referees. Also, this game was played on Halloween, which makes sense because it was such a fucking nightmare. So that's very fitting. And then for referees, you probably didn't see this play because you were a coward and you dipped out early. But it was a play on.
I'm cuddling on the bed with Gus.
I know, I can see that. I'm gonna talk to you from here though. So the referee, the play was like one of those quick passes to David Patton. Like the defensive back's playing too far off, and so they just like chuck it to him right off the snap. But it was kind of low, so he scooped it up off the top of his toes, and then ran, and then at the end of the play, there was a 15-yard face mask because the defender like literally ripped his helmet off by the face mask. So the play got challenged, and the referees reviewed the play, overturned the reception, but just because the play is incomplete, the 15-yard face mask still applies. So after all that, even though the Steelers won their challenge, they only got like 1 yard back on the drive. It was stupid. And then for commentators, this was perfect Chris Sims talking about like he knows what's going on and decides that on the Patriots' first drive where they score their touchdown, he literally, as he's saying, now's the time to run it, the Patriots run a play action and immediately throw a touchdown pass. So nice to know that he still got it and knows what he's talking about. And can predict games in the same way that better commentators can do. Like, what's his name, Steve? Tony Romo, the QB whisperer, who actually calls those plays. So there you go. That's what I got for referees and commentators. Another note that they pointed out, the Panthers from last year's Super Bowl that the Patriots beat are currently 1-6 on the year. They've lost again. So struggling mightily after Super Bowl, unlike this Patriots team. So it could be worse. We could be watching a lot more losses, but we're not. So that's great. And I think that's it.
Are you sure?
I think so, yeah.
You sure?
I'm taking a quick look.
Yeah, just double checking. We don't want you to forget anything.
No Cedric Cobbs. There was a Cedric Cobbs sighting, who was a street free agent getting carries in this game because of the injury to Corey Dillon. I doubt we'll see him again. Yeah. Oh, they talked about what Bill Cowher did on his bye week. And he decided he went.
All right. You know what? This, I got to go. I got some stuff to do.
I don't believe you, but
tune in next week to see how much of a blubbering little bitch Greg is.
Very naughty.
You're an idiot, bro.
All right. Well, hopefully next week is something a bit more upbeat. What is next week, Steve?
I don't know.
Oh, Patriots playing the St. Louis Rams in the Edward Jones Dome. What a terrible name for a stadium.
Super Bowl rematch.
Super Bowl rematch from 2001. Mike Martz looking to get revenge. Will he get it, Steve? We'll find out next week on the Patriots Dynasty podcast.
See you later.
See you later.